There we go. It took a minute to get set up this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome, and welcome to everybody else who's joining us. Today's topic is generating the field. And what we're talking about is calling forth a field of potential for the things we want to accomplish in life, for our own growth and potential and expression. And it's kind of quantum magic that we're going to be talking about. So that'll be fun. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together, feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, and all the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, generating the field. I guess we get to first address the underlying assumption about there being a field at all. And it's not like there's a field. Maybe there are multitudes of fields, but when we're generating a new idea, or when we're even receiving a new idea, there's something to be said for ideas being in the field to begin with, and we pick up on them. And there are songwriters who have said, when they wake up in the middle of the night with an idea for a song, that they need to write it down and work on it right away, because otherwise somebody else will get it. And we're aware that there are concepts in science that have been developed simultaneously in different parts of the world or by different people that were unrelated, that it just happened that maybe this idea or notion was floating around in the field and a couple people picked up on it. So if we think about what is it called? The Rupert Sheldrake talks about the morphic field. And that's kind of what we're talking about. The morphic field being this field of energy, information that connects us all, really. That we are energetically connected, and in a very real way. Like if you imagine, and I'm not saying this is an accurate representation of the morphic field, but if you imagine that that the so-called empty space between us isn't empty, but that it's that it's a field of energy that connects all of us, so that as I move, I'm moving the field. As I engage energetically with the world, I'm engaging with that field. Uh, and that translates to a level of communication that is other than visible. It might be a stretch for a lot of us, but we get to play with these ideas. Um, so Rosalind says electromagnetic field can be measured around the body. This luminous energy field is referred to as the aura. So you can say that person has an aura about them. And really what it's talking about is this actual energetic field that reaches out, and people have developed ways to detect it and to capture visuals that relate to it with colors and different degrees of radiance beyond the body. Thank you for that, Rosalind. I love it. That if everything is energy, and maybe that's a leap for you too, but if everything is energy, there's a lot of motion and movement and connection of energy. Anyway, let's just play with the idea that everything is energy, and that indeed there is a field of energy that surrounds us and that we engage with. And in fact, one of the ways that we might be able to relate to it, if it seems unfamiliar, is when you're in a room and maybe you have your back to the door and you can feel someone entering the room. You can feel when someone's angry. You can feel when someone's light. You don't even have to see them necessarily. You can feel it. You can experience it. So that's like connecting to the field. And so when we're on a path of transformation and evolution, we can tend to be evolving beyond the support that we have within our own environment, particularly when we're making a conscious evolutionary choice. And the people around us are part of the field that we have been in. And when we are trying to evolve, when we're trying to move to another level of expression, in order to do that, the field needs to change. And what often happens is either we deliberately level up and we deliberately find new social supports that, good morning, Robin. Welcome. We're talking about generating the field that supports us in our evolution. So we may deliberately, actively cultivate new social supports, or people may just fall away as we move into our new level of expression, because the field that we're moving into is no longer a field that is attractive to those people. So it's interesting. This conversation came from an experience with a client that has been with me really like not even 4 months. It's hard to imagine. I think it's not even 4 months. Because I think this is their second, not their third cohort. I could be confused about that. But anyway, when we started together, there was this field of suffering, and the underlying assumption that suffering was noble, and fighting for the cause, rather than leading in a cause, for instance, was noble. And there was all this struggle and suffering and lack also, anger, resentment, I think, around the lack and the suffering. And there's been such a profound transformation, and also like a kind of a lack of visibility, and a lack of acceptance of abundance, like an inability to receive. And it's just so remarkable to see that this person has now been, like, in the space of a very short period of time, has now been invited into, now that they have a commitment toward thriving and toward leadership and toward fulfillment, that they have been invited into these other fields, these other circles, where it's another level of play. It's a different playing field. It's it's being invited into a circle of people who are highly engaged and impactful in the world, which is what this person is. And it's like this quantum jump. And in order to support the things that this person is up to in the world, it necessitates that they surround themselves with other people that are playing at that level. So the people that we surround ourselves with are helping to shape our potentials, are helping to create the context within which our potentials can be expressed. So if we're hanging out with people who are all down and depressed, or people who are concerned with superficialities and not with purpose and meaning, then if you are engaged with purpose and meaning, it doesn't resonate with the people that are surrounding you. And it's kind of like somebody used this analogy, that crabs that grab onto the crabs that are trying to climb out of the pot and pull them back in. And so we get to create a field that supports us in our evolution, is really what this conversation is about. So Rosalind says, and also in acupuncture, I'm going to the acupuncturist today. Also in acupuncture, needles are used to transfer excess energy of depletion through meridians or energy channels. Yeah, so acupuncture, I love that you're talking about that, because acupuncture is working with the energetic system of our bodies. And these needles are placed at very superficial needles are placed at strategic points on this energy flow structure that moves through our bodies to either stimulate or release energy, so that it can flow more evenly. It's kind of miraculous, the whole acupuncture thing, to be able to tune into the energetic patterns of the body with such precision. It's really quite remarkable. I'm fascinated by it. And we talk about elevating our energy, balancing our energy. This notion of a field, it's like, as we generate an idea, as we develop an intention, as we put our focus on things, um, as we speak things out into the world, we're generating a field of potential and possibility. When we make a declaration about our purpose, a sense of purpose, when we make a strong intention, we're starting to create a field. So in 2017, I declared my ownership of this vision of the eco park that I've talked about with you before. And that has been my vision, purpose, kind of a North Star that keeps me on course, that creates the context or container for so much of my other activities and behavior. And in order to support that, I mean, there were people around me that when I spoke that, people were like, "You're nuts. That's never going to happen." And it's like the crabs trying to pull you back down into the crab trap, right? And so it was essential in order for me to be able to move into the potential of that and start on the path in that direction, even though I didn't know what that path looked like. It was essential that I create a new field for myself that would support those potentials, where people would not just not say, "Oh, you're crazy and that's never going to happen," but people would be supportive of that vision and say, "Okay, great, let's see how we can make that happen." Or you might want to look at this and this, and to give me space to grow into the reality of that, to be building the strength of the field, the intensity of the field in such a way that this thing would come into manifestation. And it has been building over the last number of years. And what I did at that time was I went and got myself some coaches who were talking about different levels of expression and different levels of achievement and possibilities, and people that would be more supportive of the vision that I wanted to make manifest. And even though I did that, there were limits, where people were, where I felt harnessed. It was really, really quite interesting. So Rosalind says, so is clearing necessary before you can energize the field of potential? It's harder to absorb new if the space is filled with old ways of thinking. So that's really, Rosalind, what we're talking about is clearing the field, or maybe even displacing it, so that the things that might be impediments to that growth are replaced by things that are supporting it. So it's really interesting as I'm thinking back. I went into this coaching thing. I declared the eco park, and I also at that time had a vision of doing coaching, and what my heart was calling for was getting things moving with the eco park, which really manifested itself as the podcast, the Sustainability Now podcast, which has been the opening for meeting all these remarkable people and learning about all these remarkable things that are happening in the world. And in terms of sustainability, and being able to share those things, and learn, and it's become the fertile ground through which the potential for this whole thing is growing. And I was being encouraged to instead set up the coaching thing first, and my heart wasn't there, and I was pursuing my dreams and feeling just as shackled and constrained as I had before, and I had to break out on my own, even in the context of these other supports, which I did. And then once sustainability now was established, then I was able to move into doing the coaching, developing the coaching practice in a more wholehearted way. It was more timely for me. Good morning, Bernadette. Welcome. So glad to have you drop in, and that would be great for you to watch on replay. It's great to have you here, even for a minute. So we're talking about cultivating the field, and if we look at things in terms of energy, the same old keeps us in the same old. And as I was saying that, I was hearing same mold instead of just the same old, but the same mold that our habitual patterns, our habitual people keep us kind of in the same motion. And if we're looking to go beyond that to a different framework, we need to provide the supports for ourselves that will enable us to do that. And it's interesting because there are lots of people that say, when you have a dream, don't share it with anybody, because there are lots of dream killers out there. And I'm inclined to say, find the people that you can share it with who will help you nurture it. Because if you're holding that dream by yourself in an environment that would deny it, it can be very draining and hard to move forward through the denseness of that energy, that field that is surrounding you. So strategically, it makes sense to go find venues where you're going to gain greater support, find people who have a greater capacity for potential, for being outside the box, for making dreams come true. So if you're dreaming bigger than the box that you're in, you need to make it a bigger box, or get out of the box entirely, right? To be able to accommodate the dream and the vision. So this whole conversation about generating the field, and one of the ways that we can do that is by finding others who support us. We have so many resources available to us on so many levels. You could find social groups on social media to engage with if you don't have an expansive social support network, that where people are having conversations that are in alignment with where you're heading. So oftentimes we generate a field through our passion about something, and that field then becomes a magnetizer. It draws opportunity and potential. And so one example is, along with the sustainability stuff, and by the way, as I think about it, tonight is movie night. And for movie night on Sustainability Now, we're showing a talk by a woman named Temple Grandin, who is a renowned animal behaviorist, scientist. She is autistic. She's probably the most prominent autistic adult in our culture currently. And it is because of her autism that she was able to find new techniques and strategies for animal husbandry that that other people weren't able to discover. And this talk is called The Autistic Brain, and she's turned her attention to humans and autism. And it's a very, very enlightening talk about the experience of being autistic and the experience, the sensual, the sensory experiences and the different cognitive processing patterns. And it's very enlightening. And I invite you to come and join us. If you haven't registered for our email list, you can go to sustainabilitynow.global instead of .com. And you can sign up on our email list, and you'll get an email around 6:30 tonight that gives you a link to be able to register for movie night. So I've got a hair or something on my nose that I can't, there, we got it. Anyway, I was talking about creating the field. You know, we often have these situations that are coincidences in big quotes. Good morning, Dido. Welcome. Great to have you here with us. We experience these coincidences or these wonderful synchronicities. And those synchronicities are, in my opinion, a result of cultivating a field that is attracting these kinds of occurrences. So I invite you to be alert to, good morning. I invite you to be alert to these synchronicities, and because they're this wonderful quantum magic that we create for ourselves ongoingly. So, and it is a direct result of generating this field of potential. And some of us see it more vividly than others, but I guarantee you that if you pay attention, those kinds of synchronicities are there. It's a way that we get to communicate back and forth with our surrounding universe. And you know, I call it a wink from the universe, you know, when we have these beautiful synchronicities. And yeah, so that's what generating the field is about, is generating that attractive field that magnetizes and calls forward the supports for the intention that is generating that connective energy. So with that, that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is The Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern here on the Enlightened World Network YouTube channel and Facebook page. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And Dido, I really appreciate that you posted the link to Sustainability Now. Robin says, you are what you surround yourself with. And it's true. It's true. What we surround ourselves with impacts us, and we impact it. And that's what we're talking about, is kind of allowing yourself to adjust the field accordingly. And until next time, which I hope is really soon, so much